Hello and welcome to the second episode of the A&E Podcast. How are you, Misha?
I am doing very good, Christian. Thank you for asking. What about what's up? What are we going to be talking about today?
I'm good, thank you for asking. And today we will be talking about the 2022 World Cup in Qatar and a little bit about it. And I know this might sound very like a big statement I'm saying right away because there's no evidence I'm giving you, but I think it's a big mistake, and I think it's something that's not going to be good. And I think the best option right now, like as of like right now, probably just to cancel it completely because
Oh,
it's
yeah, for
pretty
sure.
bad. And we're going
hmm
to cover some topics today. We're going to discuss what we think about it, and not just that, and actual like facts and evidence of what's happening over there and what's happening with FIFA. So, would you
Yeah.
like to say our first point, Misha?
Okay. So let's get straight into it. What is the state Qatar is in right now? As you can see, if you watch any videos or go onto the internet, search it up, they are building a lot of stadiums right now for the World Cup, and already more than 2,000 workers have been killed in the while they were building the stadiums, which I find like it's really sad because they wanted to do something. I don't know, maybe they were forced to do it, but it's so sad. They lost their lives while building something for other people to enjoy, you know? And it's also very sad. I feel like the leaders, I agree with you, the leaders are also kind of greedy for money because more tourists are going to come, and it's also very expensive in Qatar. The hotels cost a lot, and with this COVID situation it might even cost more, so a lot of people are going to be staying at home, and the stadiums are not going to be all full. Qatar has their own league, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um, it's at a very tiny league, and there's always in every stadium there's less than 700 people that come to watch the game.
And that might sound like a good amount, but to put that in perspective, an average stadium holds around 37,000 people. And that's just an average stadium right there. So if you were to have like a big stadium with like 50,000 or above, only 700 people are in that stadium, which is very little people, like none,
That
basically
is,
none at all. It's really
mm-hmm,
sad. And it also proves to you, especially like you were saying with the COVID situation, a lot of people may be scared, or if they're not taking proper procedures, people might not want
yeah,
to go. And if they're like
mm-hmm,
violating these health violation, or if they're like violating these health laws and regulations with like staying 6 feet apart and like everybody having to sit in like every other chair, you can't be all grouped up together, they could get in
mm-hmm,
trouble. People might not want to go. So like you said, because the whole point of Qatar wanting it, the World Cup in Qatar, is because the economy, they'll be able to boom in
yeah,
money. He's like, they'll be able to be
mm-hmm.
recognized. Like, who actually knew who Qatar was before this? Very little people. Like,
I Yeah, I bet everyone that's going to watch this probably knew of the Qatar Emirates Airways, the really expensive airline, but I haven't heard of Qatar until I researched about it. And it's also it's just, it's rich and poor. There's people that live like they are very wealthy, live in a very good situation, and there's other workers that are building the stadiums, and it's almost a slavery, you could say, as they are told from people from all countries, like I don't know, anywhere really, they are told they're being paid a certain amount of money, right? They come to Qatar, then they're not being paid that amount of money, and their passports are being taken away. They cannot do anything. They're stuck there because if their passports are not taken away, then they might be scared to go home because they have to pay a certain amount of money. And if they're not going to come with that amount of money, something might happen. And it's
mhm.
just, yes, it's very sad in that situation.
It
um
is, and it's actually very cruel, and it shows how bad of a government they are, because all these deaths and all this time they've been taking advantage of all these workers, they don't really care. Like, they're not really doing anything about it, which shows you alone like how bad of a government that is. And in my opinion, they don't really deserve, or yeah, they don't deserve to host the World Cup. And especially like such a big event. It happens every 4 years, of course, if you didn't know that already.
Every 4 years,
So
yes.
it's not the it's not the biggest annual event because it doesn't happen every year, but I'm sure it's the biggest event that happens in all of sports or almost all of society every 4 years, maybe besides from the Olympics, but that's kind of got downhill too.
Yeah, and people do anything really to watch the World Cup. But since Qatar is also in the desert, it's very hot there during the summer. That's why FIFA, the World Cup, has been moved to November, December, so it's a bit cooler there. Not all the the players are not gonna get too hot while they're playing.
And fans.
Yeah, exactly. Because no
that's
one wants
another
to
thing.
sit there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I would never want to go. Like you're super uncomfortable, especially if you're sweating and sticky. Like it's hard to enjoy and sit down a game.
Yeah. And those plastic seats, if there are those plastic seats that are like this curve in, and then your butt sits in there, and then you start sweating, and there's like this pool of water underneath your butt.
And then like you get
uncomfortable.
Stuck. It's really uncomfortable.
Exactly. And I want to kind of go back to the how many people come and watch the games in Qatar. They are going to build all these stadiums. I'm sure people are going to come and watch the World Cup, but
oh yeah, of course.
After that, they're going to have so many stadiums, but their league is very small. They're just going to have stadiums standing there, and they're going to I bet they're going to try to get the World Cup again, so that they can host it again.
I would agree.
But maybe there's a limit how many times you can host the World Cup, or you have to wait this many years. I'm not sure. But they're gonna I know for a fact that they're gonna have a lot of stadiums just sitting there. Stuff is gonna happen. I don't know, rust stuff. Seats might. I'm not sure. But the stadiums are not going to be in top condition if they have to host any more games, because they're just going to be standing there.
And that's another thing. It's going to cost them a lot to keep them maintained. Like they're going to have to, like you said, probably cut the field, trim the field, the grass. They're going to have to keep everything clean, sanitary. They'll have to clean the seats and make sure it's not dirty. And if it's just being there empty, they're just losing money because they've already spent plenty of money just alone building the stadiums. And like you said, it's just going to be empty, but you never know. And I think maybe they might start a new league, and with all their attention they're getting right now, they might be like, oh, we're going to have this brand new big league, and they'll be able to get more people. At least that's what they want to, and that's what they're going to try to do. And also on the topic of stadiums, most stadiums aren't even done yet. We only have 2 years left, guys.
And, there's I think there are a few stadiums, but we're going to quickly go to the FIFA World Cup official website, and as we can see right here, in Africa there are 54 teams playing. That's only in Africa, and they're still building stadiums, and the World Cup lasts a month. There's at least 200 teams. There's at least 200 teams.
So you're gonna need a lot of stadiums and hotels.
Exactly. Players want to rest up in a good condition in a nice hotel, but if there are not going to be enough stadiums to host all the teams, and not enough stadiums, so not every team can play, it's going downhill right now. If a lot of people are dying from building the stadiums and not enough workers, then I doubt that they're gonna finish the stadiums in time I don't think they're gonna finish it, because stadiums are huge, massive. You need a good grass, either turf or just grass, but it has to be nicely trimmed. All the seats have to be bolted in. Cement has to dry, whatever panels, whatever, to make it look fancy. That's going to take a long time.
And not just that, sure. Electricity. Qatar is very poor. Like Misha was saying, some of it's very rich, some of it's very poor. And in the big downtowns, it's going to be very rich. And these stadiums probably don't have room to build a giant stadium with thousands of hundreds of thousands of seats maybe because it is a World Cup to put in a city. So it might be out in the middle of nowhere and there's
Oh
very
yeah.
little infrastructure around it, like hotels. People are going to be having to travel far. There's probably not a lot of roads there. You are in a desert, mind you this, so it's going to be probably hot, but they are doing it in winter, which is going to be another bad thing because a lot of leagues are still playing. So like
Yeah.
a lot of players might not play even for the World Cup. It's either they got to choose in
Yeah.
between their league or the World Cup.
Yeah, the national team, Germany's national team, they consist mainly of Bayern Munich actually, and Bayern Munich plays in the Bundesliga. And since I think it's in winter actually this year, I think it's in winter. I'm not entirely sure,
It's around
but
that time.
if not all the Bayern Munich players decide to play on the national team, then Germany might will not play. Maybe they'll get some other players, but the whole Bundesliga consists of the best players, and Germany wants also some pretty good players to play in the World Cup.
Of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a lot of like these big clubs, like big clubs, they have all these players from like all these great national teams. Like on all these clubs right now, I'm sorry about that. All these leagues that are playing like during around like the November and December season, they're all big leagues, like the Premier League, even MLS. It's a tinier league, but that's still most of the American players. So if they're in there, like they're not going to have much players, and if they do, they're not going to be good players. They're going to be like substitutes. So it might not be as entertaining. People, and that's another thing. Then people might not want to go watch it, so they won't like really profit from it. And here's the root cause of all of this. There's been a lot of evidence of bribery with FIFA and having Qatar and having it in Qatar. So that's a really big problem, and it shows you how much corruption there is, not just like in governments around the world, but even in sports now, and how big of a deal it has become, and how big of a problem it has become too.
Yeah. And yeah, about the players, I want to hop back on that theme. Anyhow, some of the best players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, not Neymar, but two of those, the best players that have been the best for a very long time. Everyone knows them. This might be their last World Cup. They are, like we said last episode, they're getting kind of old. They're still very young for their age, but for a soccer, like season tournament, whatever, for just a soccer, you could say it's like part of their life, since they are connected to soccer now. Their soccer life is coming to an end. It's very sad to see two of the best players playing in the last World Cup.
Maybe, we don't know yet for sure.
We don't know for sure.
It's still possible for them, but at their age, if you were to take a guess, I'm sure there's a high chance of them being their last one. But hey, you never know. You never know. Let's hope that
we hope that they're still gonna play. Yeah, exactly. But you never know. It's very sad. But we'll leave it on that with Qatar. And what else do we want to talk about?
I do want to bring up one thing about the World Cup, more about looking about like the actual teams, because we've already explained to you why having it in Qatar is a bad thing, and it would be better just to cancel it all. But the actual teams, I want to say about the United States, usually they have a horrible team, and me personally being from the United States, it's kind of sad because like they barely ever qualify. But this year they're actually looking very strong, and they beat El Salvador 6-0, and that wasn't even with their European team. All the people playing at that minute, El Salvador is probably a horrible team. I bet you a second division Bundesliga team would be able to beat them too, but just shows you how much they've improved and how much they still are like getting better. And especially I think with all like these great US talents coming out that are playing like in European level, like Christian Pulisic or like Serginho Dest or like Reina playing for Borussia Dortmund, like all these great young players American players too. They're looking like pretty strong this year, and we could see them doing pretty good. And especially if all the other teams, if they're not playing like with their top players, you never know. Like they probably won't win,
No,
of
yeah.
course, but
Mm-hmm.
they'll do better
But
than
you
other
never
years.
know. Sometimes players that are not at the top level also shine. Sometimes they score wonderful goals, not even half field, like outside the box, wonderful top corners. But it usually all depends on if they have good players or not. If the players are just not, let's say, motivated or whatever, and they don't work as a team, then that's already like a major fact that already hurts the team chemistry a lot. And you just need sometimes good players to lift up the team, to give the team a chance, you know. Yeah.
And that's why I want to bring up another thing. You're saying you want to have good chemistry. I feel like it's very important, and it's very nice and very cool to see that most of the German team is like German national team is based off Bayern Munich, which they're gonna have way better chemistry. While if you have like a player from every team in the Bundesliga, they go against each other in the Bundesliga, so they wouldn't have as good chemistry. So just having someone there like on the same team, even a lot of players, it's gonna really help your chemistry. So that really like greatly improves your team, which is very overlooked.
Oh yeah. And as we can see right now, Bayern Munich is the number one team in the Bundesliga. Yeah, until right now, at least. So until we record this podcast, but they're doing very good. Like we talked about the last episode, Alphonso Davies and Lewandowski, all of them are doing very good. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to say about this whole Qatar situation, World Cup 2022, COVID, all of that. If you have anything else you want to add, be free. I'm all done.
I think that's is a good way to end it off. We really, yeah. So if you have any comments, make sure to leave them down below. If you have any suggestions or feedbacks, any feedback.
Yeah.
Also, don't forget to subscribe, and we're also on Spotify. So in the description, I will leave the links to the episode on Spotify if you want the audio-only version. And yeah.
And we make sure to check out our website. Also, we will link the Instagram down below in the description. Check that out, and have a nice day or a night. Yeah.